The call to adventure. Captain Alex Morgan stood on the rocky surface of planet Zeta, watching the dark clouds roll in. The air was thick with tension, and he could feel the weight of his duty pressing down on him. The Galactic Federation had sent him here to keep the peace between humans and the Zyphorians, an alien race known for their beauty and fierce independence. But peace felt far away today. Suddenly, a buzzing sound interrupted his thoughts. It was his communicator. Alex quickly pressed the button, and a holographic image appeared. It was Commander Ellis, his superior back at the base. Her expression was serious. "Captain Morgan, we have a situation," she said, her voice firm. "We received a distress signal from the Zyphorian planet. The princess, Lyra, has been kidnapped." Alex's heart sank. He remembered Princess Lyra well. She was not only a beautiful alien, but also a brave and wise leader. During a past diplomatic mission, she had helped him navigate the tricky waters of Zyphorian politics. Now she was in danger. "Who took her?" Alex asked, his voice steady despite the worry growing in his chest. "A rogue faction within the Zyphorian ranks," Commander Ellis replied. "They oppose the peace talks and want to use the princess as leverage. We fear for her safety. You must go and rescue her." The mission was dangerous, and Alex knew it. The Zyphorian homeworld was a maze of tall mountains and deep valleys, filled with creatures that could easily kill a human. The rogue faction would not hesitate to harm Lyra to protect their own interests. But Alex also knew that he could not ignore this call for help. If they succeeded in saving Lyra, it could turn the tide in favor of peace. "Understood, Commander. I'll gather a team," Alex said, his mind racing. He had to move quickly. The longer they waited, the greater the risk to Lyra's life. After ending the communication, Alex wasted no time. He headed to the hangar bay, where his ship, the Starfire, was docked. It was a sleek vessel, designed for speed and agility, perfect for navigating through enemy territory. As he entered the hangar, he found Jax, his loyal cyborg pilot, working on the ship's systems. Jax looked up, a grin on his face. "What's up, Captain? Another routine patrol?" "Not quite," Alex replied, urgency in his voice. "We're on a rescue mission. The Zyphorian princess has been kidnapped." Jax's expression changed from cheerful to serious in an instant. "Count me in. I wouldn't miss this for the world." Next, Alex found Ilara, the team's medic. She was preparing her medical supplies for their journey. "Ilara, we need your skills on this mission," he said. "The princess is in danger." "Of course, I'll be ready," she replied, determination in her eyes. Finally, Alex approached Kira, a Zyphorian rebel who had been an invaluable ally. "Kira, we need you to guide us through your home planet. Your knowledge will be crucial." Kira nodded, her expression a mix of fear and hope. "I'll do everything I can to help. We cannot let them harm Princess Lyra." With his team gathered, Alex felt a surge of confidence. They would fight for Lyra and for peace between their worlds. The mission would be dangerous, but together, they had a chance. The call to adventure had come, and they were ready to answer, gathering allies. As the engines of the Starfire roared to life, Captain Alex Morgan felt a rush of excitement. He had gathered his team, but he knew they needed more allies if they were going to rescue Princess Lyra. The mission was dangerous, and every skilled fighter would make a difference. Alex had a few names in mind, and he hoped they would be willing to join him. Jax set a course for Skyhaven, the main city on planet Sephoria. Alex instructed the pilot as he took a seat in the cockpit. Jax nodded and worked quickly, entering the coordinates into the ship's navigation system. Skyhaven was a bustling city filled with colorful markets and tall, shining buildings. It was also home to many Zyphorians who supported the princess and wanted to see her rescued. As the Starfire broke through the atmosphere and flew toward the city, Alex felt a mixture of hope and anxiety. When they landed, the group stepped out onto the busy streets of Skyhaven. The vibrant energy of the city was overwhelming. Xiphorians of all colors and sizes moved about, their eyes full of purpose. Alex had to remind himself that not all Xiphorians were enemies. Many wanted peace. "First, we need to find Nora," Kira said, her voice rising above the noise. Nora was a skilled warrior and a close friend of Lyra. She would be a valuable addition to the team. With Kira leading the way, they navigated through the crowd, asking locals if they had seen Nora. Finally, they reached a small training area where warriors practiced their skills. Alex spotted Nora in the middle of a group, demonstrating a powerful combat move. She was strong and agile, her movements fluid and precise. "Nora," Kira called out, waving her hand. Nora turned, her eyes lighting up when she saw Kira. She quickly ran over. "Kira, it's been too long. What brings you here?" "We need your help," Kira replied urgently. "The princess has been kidnapped by a rogue faction. We're going to rescue her, and we want you on our team." Nora's expression shifted to one of determination. "Count me in. I will do whatever it takes to save Lyra. She deserves to be on the throne." With Nora now on board, the group continued to discuss their plan. They knew they would face many challenges, but with skilled allies, they felt more confident. Next, they sought out Ryan, a tech expert known for his ability to hack into any security system. They found him in a small workshop filled with gadgets and glowing screens. Ryan was hunched over a device, but he looked up as the group entered. "Kira, what's going on?" he asked, surprised. "We need your skills, Ryan. The princess has been taken, and we need to break into the rogue faction's base," Kira explained. Ryan's eyes sparkled with excitement. "I'm in. Let me grab my tools. I've got a few tricks that might come in handy." With Ryan joining the team, they felt stronger, but they knew they needed one more ally to complete their mission, a pilot with experience in flying through hostile territory. After some discussion, they decided to seek out Zara, a legendary pilot known for her fearless flying. Zara was often found in the skyport, racing against other pilots. As they arrived, they watched her maneuver her ship with incredible skill. Once Zara landed, Alex approached her. "Zara, we need your help to rescue the Xiphorian princess," he called out. Zara, wiping sweat from her brow, looked intrigued. "Rescue a princess. Sounds exciting. What's in it for me?" "We can offer you adventure and the chance to make a difference," Alex replied earnestly. Zara grinned. "You had me at adventure. I'm in." With Zara, Nora, Ryan, Jax, Elara, Kira, and Alex all assembled, they stood together, ready for the challenges ahead. The team was diverse and strong, each member bringing their own skills and determination to the mission. Together, they were ready to face the dangers of Xiphoria and rescue Princess Lyra. The infiltration. With their team assembled, Captain Alex Morgan and his allies prepared for the most dangerous part of their mission, infiltrating the stronghold of the rogue Xiphorian faction. The plan was set, but everyone felt the weight of the challenge ahead. The rogue faction was known for its brutal guards and advanced security systems. They needed to move carefully and work together. The Starfire landed in a hidden clearing not far from the rogue base. As they exited the ship, Alex gathered his team. "Remember, our goal is to rescue Princess Lyra. We must be quiet and stay together. Let's move." Kira led the way, using her knowledge of the area to navigate through the dense forest. The tall trees and thick underbrush provided some cover, but they could still hear the sounds of the base in the distance, machines humming and guards shouting. Each step felt heavy with anticipation. As they approached the base, they found a high wall surrounding it, topped with sharp spikes. "How are we going to get over that?" whispered Jax, peering at the imposing barrier. Ryan, the tech expert, stepped forward. "I can disable the security system, but we need to get close enough to access their control panel. Zara, can you help us fly in low?" Zara nodded, her eyes sparkling with excitement. "Let's do this." They quickly climbed back into the Starfire and took off again. Zara piloted the ship low over the treetops, using her skills to avoid detection. Soon, they spotted a small building near the wall. "That must be the security office," Kira pointed out. "If we can get in there, we can shut down the alarms." Zora landed the ship silently behind the building. The team quickly disembarked, moving swiftly toward the door. Ryan pulled out his tools and began working on the lock. "Just give me a moment," he said, concentrating. Alex kept watch, listening for any signs of guards nearby. The sound of footsteps echoed in the distance, and Alex felt a rush of adrenaline. "Hurry up, Ryan." With a final click, the door swung open, and Ryan smiled triumphantly. "We're in." Inside, they found rows of blinking machines and screens displaying security feeds. Ryan got to work immediately, typing quickly at a terminal. "I can disable the cameras and alarms, but it will take a few minutes." While Ryan worked, Kira scanned the room. She spotted a map on the wall showing the layout of the base. "This will help us," she said, studying it closely. "The princess is being held in the central tower." Just then, a voice came from outside. "Hey, what's going on in there?" A guard was approaching, and panic filled the room. "Ryan, finish it now," Alex urged, his heart racing. "I'm almost done," Ryan replied, his fingers flying over the keyboard. With seconds to spare, Ryan hit the final key. The lights flickered, and the screens went dark. "Got it. We're clear for now." "Let's go," Alex shouted, leading the way out of the office. They moved quickly and quietly, following Kira's map as they navigated the winding hallways of the base. The atmosphere was tense, and every sound made them jump. They passed several doors, some marked with warning signs. "Those must lead to holding cells," Ilara whispered. "Lyra could be behind one of them." They reached a set of stairs leading up to the central tower. As they climbed, Alex felt a mix of hope and fear. What if they were too late? What if they couldn't save her? When they reached the top, they found a heavy door with a lock. "This must be it," Kira said, her voice low. Ryan stepped forward, ready to work his magic again. "Stand back," he said, pulling out his tools. As he worked, the sound of footsteps grew louder down the hall. Time was running out. They could hear guards approaching, and Alex's heart raced. Would they make it in time? With one last click, the door opened, revealing a dark room inside. "Let's go," Alex urged as they rushed in, ready to find the princess and bring her home. The rescue mission. As the heavy door swung open, Captain Alex Morgan stepped into the dimly lit room. His heart pounded with both fear and hope. This was it, the moment they had worked so hard for. The team quickly followed him inside, scanning the room for any sign of Princess Lyra. The air was thick with tension. Alex switched on his flashlight, illuminating the small cell at the far end of the room. Inside, they saw a figure sitting on the floor, her long silver hair cascading down her shoulders. It was Princess Lyra, looking tired but defiant. Relief washed over Alex as he called out, "Lyra." She looked up, her bright blue eyes lighting up with recognition. "Alex, you came for me," she exclaimed, her voice filled with both surprise and joy. "We're here to get you out," Alex said, rushing toward her. He quickly noticed that she was not alone. A thick chain held her to the wall, and there was a heavy lock on the door of her cell. "Stand back," Ryan instructed, moving forward. He pulled out his tools, ready to break the lock. "I'll get you out in no time." "Be quick," Ilara added, glancing nervously toward the door. "We don't have much time." Ryan got to work, his fingers flying over the lock mechanism. The sound of footsteps grew louder outside the room, echoing down the hallway. The tension in the air was almost unbearable. Alex could feel the weight of the moment. They needed to act fast. With a final click, Ryan smiled. "Got it. The lock opened, and the door swung wide. Lyra jumped to her feet, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you. I knew you would come." "We need to move quickly," Alex said, gesturing for her to follow him. "The guards will be here any second." They turned to leave the room, but just as they stepped into the hallway, a group of guards appeared at the far end, weapons drawn. "Stop right there," one of them shouted, his voice echoing. "Run," Alex yelled, pushing Lyra forward as they sprinted down the hallway. The guards opened fire, blaster shots ringing out behind them. Alex felt a surge of adrenaline. They had to reach the exit before it was too late. "Over here," Kira shouted, leading them down a side corridor. They ducked into a smaller room, pressing themselves against the walls to hide. The guards ran past, their footsteps pounding on the floor. "Let's wait a moment," Alex whispered, trying to catch his breath. "We need a plan." "We should find another way out," Zora suggested, glancing at the map Ryan had printed earlier. "There's a maintenance shaft that leads outside. It's not far from here." "Good idea," Alex replied. "Ryan, can you access the control panel again to disable the alarms?" "Already on it," Ryan said, pulling out his device. He quickly tapped a few buttons, and the screens lit up. "I can create a diversion to distract the guards while we escape." "Perfect." Alex nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. "Let's move." As they carefully made their way toward the maintenance shaft, Ryan worked his magic at the control panel. Suddenly, a loud explosion echoed through the building. The lights flickered, and alarms blared. "Now," Ryan shouted, and they dashed toward the exit. The team reached the maintenance shaft, which was a narrow tunnel leading outside. One by one, they climbed inside, with Alex helping Lyra through the tight space. They could hear the chaos behind them as guards rushed to respond to Ryan's distraction. Finally, they reached the end of the shaft and pushed open a heavy grate. The night air rushed in, refreshing and sweet. They emerged behind the base, the stars shining brightly above them. "Let's get to the ship," Alex urged, leading the way. They sprinted toward the starfire, their hearts racing with hope and fear. As they reached the ship, Alex looked back one last time at the base. They had rescued Lyra, but the fight was far from over. The real battle for peace had just begun. Escape and betrayal. As Captain Alex Morgan and his team hurried toward the starfire, relief washed over them. They had rescued Princess Lyra, and the night sky seemed welcoming. But a nagging feeling tugged at the back of Alex's mind. Something didn't feel right. They reached the ship, and Jax quickly powered up the engines. "Everyone aboard," he shouted as the thrusters roared to life. Alex helped Lyra into her seat and secured her in, glancing around at his team. Ryan, Kira, Ilara, Zara, and Jax. Each one looked ready to fight if needed, but there was a strange tension in the air. The starfire took off, lifting them high above the enemy base. From the cockpit, Alex could see the lights of the rogue faction's stronghold fading into the distance. He allowed himself a moment to breathe. They were safe, for now. Just as Alex began to relax, an alarm beeped on the control panel. Zara, seated at the co-pilot station, looked worriedly at the screen. "Captain, we've got an incoming ship, fast and armed." Alex frowned and looked at the screen. The ship approaching was marked with the symbol of Commander Vex, leader of the rogue faction. He realized they weren't out of danger yet. "Everyone, prepare for battle," he shouted, bracing himself. The enemy ship fired first, sending a blast that rocked the starfire. Jax cursed under his breath, maneuvering to avoid the next hit. "We can't outrun them with the starfire's shields this low," Jax said grimly. "We need to fight back," Lyra said, her voice steady despite the fear in her eyes. "Commander Vex won't stop until he has me again." But before anyone could respond, Kira suddenly stood up, a cold expression on her face. She moved slowly, almost as if gathering her courage for something. "I'm sorry, Alex. This is where our journey together ends." The team stared at her, confused. But Alex's stomach dropped. "Kira, what are you saying?" he asked, feeling dread rise in his chest. Kira raised her hand, holding a small device, a signal beacon. "Commander Vex promised me a new life if I brought Lyra back to him. I didn't want to do this, but I have no choice." "Traitor!" Ryan shouted, reaching for his blaster, but Kira pressed the button before anyone could stop her. An alarm blared throughout the ship as Commander Vex's ship locked onto their position. "Kira, don't do this," Alex pleaded, his voice filled with anger and disbelief. "Lyra trusted you." Kira's face softened, but she held her ground. "I did what I had to survive. You don't understand what it's like to live under Vex's rule." Suddenly, a blast from Vex's ship hit the Starfire, and sparks flew across the control panel. Jax fought to keep the ship steady. "We're going down," he shouted. The ship lurched and dipped as another blast struck, throwing everyone against their seats. Alex struggled to think clearly. Betrayed by Kira and under heavy fire, they had to act quickly. "Zara, take Kira to the back and secure her," Alex ordered. "We'll deal with her later." Zara nodded, gripping Kira's arm tightly and dragging her away, despite Kira's protests. "Lyra, stay low," Alex said, trying to shield her from the chaos. He could see the fear in her eyes, but she nodded, bracing herself. As the Starfire spiraled downward, Jax managed to level the ship just enough to bring them into a rough but controlled landing in a nearby forest. The impact was hard, and the crew was jolted, but everyone was alive. Breathing heavily, Alex turned to his team. "Is everyone okay?" They all nodded, though their faces showed the shock of Kira's betrayal. Alex looked at her, anger burning in his eyes. "Kira, we trusted you." Kira looked away, shame in her expression. "I did what I had to, but I didn't think it would come to this." Alex took a deep breath, holding back his anger. "We'll deal with you later. Right now, we need to get away from here. Vex will be coming." The team gathered their gear, more determined than ever. They had lost Kira's trust, but they still had each other, and they weren't giving up. The chase. The crash landing had left Captain Alex Morgan and his team in the middle of a dense, dark forest. Smoke rose from the Starfire's battered hull, and the scent of burnt metal filled the air. Alex knew they had little time before Commander Vex's forces arrived. "We have to move. Now," Alex said firmly, his voice cutting through the tense silence. He glanced at Kira, who stood silently, her head lowered, still bound from her betrayal. For now, he pushed his anger aside. They needed to survive. "Ryan, can you pick up any signals?" Alex asked. Ryan pulled out a handheld scanner, adjusting the settings. "Commander Vex's forces are close, but they're moving slowly. They'll be here soon, though." "Then let's go," Lyra said with a determined look, her royal composure shining through. She knew the danger, but her strength in this moment reminded Alex why they had risked so much for her. They set off through the forest, moving as quickly and quietly as they could. The trees provided some cover, their thick branches casting long shadows in the dim moonlight. The team's footsteps were soft, but the occasional crack of a twig reminded them of the urgency. Behind them, they could hear the faint hum of approaching enemy ships. As they made their way deeper into the forest, Jax kept looking over his shoulder. "I hate to say it, Captain, but if they catch up, we'll be outgunned." "We'll figure something out," Alex replied, trying to keep the group focused. A sudden noise echoed from the left, a sharp crack followed by rustling. Everyone froze, their eyes darting toward the sound. A patrol drone zipped past, its lights scanning the trees. Alex motioned for everyone to stay low. The drone hovered for a moment, its searchlights cutting through the branches before it zoomed away. "Too close," Ryan whispered, letting out a breath he had been holding. "Come on," Alex urged. "If we keep moving east, we should reach the mountains. The rocky terrain will make it harder for them to track us." The team continued, pushing through thick underbrush. Despite the quiet forest, tension hung heavily between them. Every shadow seemed like a threat, every sound a possible enemy. Even Kira, now their prisoner, looked over her shoulder nervously. They came to a small clearing just as dawn began to break, the first light filtering through the trees. For a brief moment, they felt a sense of relief, until they heard the distant roar of engines. "They're getting closer," Ilara said, her voice strained. "We can't outrun ships on foot." Alex looked around, his mind racing for options. Then he spotted a narrow path leading up a steep hill, partially hidden by large rocks. "Up there," he said, pointing. "If we can get high enough, we might be able to evade their sensors." One by one, they scrambled up the hill, their breaths heavy with exertion. When they reached the top, they took cover behind the rocks and watched as Vex's ships circled below, searching the forest floor. "Ryan, is there any way to jam their scanners from up here?" Alex asked, desperate for a solution. Ryan fiddled with his device, adjusting wires and settings. "It's risky, but I think I can send a false signal. Make it seem like we went the other way." "Do it," Alex ordered, keeping an eye on the ships below. Ryan pressed a few buttons, and soon one of the ships veered off to the west, following the fake signal. The other ships followed, leaving their current location. The team waited a moment, breathless, as the noise of engines faded into the distance. "It worked," Jax whispered, grinning in relief. Alex allowed himself a small smile. "Good work, Ryan. Let's keep moving before they realize it's a decoy." They continued on, making their way down the hill and toward the rugged mountains in the distance. Exhausted but driven by the need to survive, they moved together, more united than ever. They had outsmarted Vex's forces for now, but Alex knew that this chase was far from over. Allies and enemies. As the team reached the rocky base of the mountains, Captain Alex Morgan scanned the area. They needed shelter, supplies, and most of all, allies. Far from any friendly territory, they were in enemy-controlled land. The only nearby settlement was the neutral zone of Krelith, a small, lawless town where traders, mercenaries, and outcasts gathered. It was their only chance to find help, but it was also full of potential dangers. "Are you sure Krelith is safe?" Lyra asked, worry crossing her face. The princess had heard tales of the place, known for its shady deals and unpredictable residents. "It's far from safe," Alex replied. "But it's our best shot at finding supplies, and maybe even someone willing to help us escape Vex's territory." They set off toward Krelith, the mountains rising sharply around them. The path was difficult, but they pressed on, knowing that each step took them closer to potential help, and perhaps hidden enemies. When they arrived at the outskirts of Krelith, the air was thick with smoke and the smell of metal. Makeshift shacks lined the winding streets, and people eyed the group suspiciously as they walked by. Ryan kept his hand near his blaster, ready for trouble. "Stay close and don't trust anyone," Alex instructed. "We'll find a trader and see if we can get more fuel and supplies for the Starfire." They found a small, dimly lit shop crammed with parts, tools, and odd trinkets from across the galaxy. A tall, grizzled man with cybernetic eyes looked up as they entered. "Looking for something?" he asked in a gruff voice, sizing up the group. "We need fuel cells, food rations, and repair kits," Alex said, trying to keep his voice steady. "Can you help us?" The man nodded slowly, eyeing the princess. "You're not from around here. Dangerous place for outsiders, especially ones with royal connections," he said with a sly grin. Lyra tensed, but Alex stepped forward, blocking her from the trader's gaze. "We have credits and can pay you well. No questions, just supplies." The trader shrugged. "Fair enough. Supplies are in the back." He motioned for them to follow, but as they moved deeper into the shop, Alex noticed two men quietly slipping through the door behind them. They were being cornered. "Trap," Alex whispered to Jax, who gave a slight nod, gripping his blaster. The traitor smirked, looking smug as he stepped back, letting the armed men close in. "Commander Vex has eyes everywhere. He pays good money for people like you," he sneered. Suddenly, a loud crash sounded from behind them. Another figure, cloaked in dark armor, leaped into the room, moving swiftly. The mysterious stranger took down the two armed men with a few quick, expert moves. "Get out of here if you want to live," the stranger said, his voice low but commanding. He gestured toward a hidden exit behind the counter. "Who are you?" Alex asked, stunned by the stranger's skill. "A friend, if you get moving," the stranger replied, pushing them toward the door. With no time to waste, they hurried out, following the stranger through a maze of alleyways until they emerged in a quiet, hidden area on the edge of town. Once they were safe, Alex turned to face the mysterious figure. "Why did you help us?" The stranger pulled back his hood, revealing a scared face with piercing green eyes. "I'm Kellen, former captain in Vex's army. I know what he's capable of, and I don't want to see anyone else fall under his control." Lyra looked at him curiously. "Why would a former ally of Vex help us?" Kellen's gaze softened, "Because I learned what Vex truly stands for. I couldn't follow him any longer. Helping you escape is my way of making things right." Alex nodded, sensing the sincerity in Kellen's words. "We could use someone with your skills. Will you join us?" Kellen smiled, nodding. "I'll help you get away from here and avoid Vex's forces. But we must be careful. He has more allies than you realize, even here." As they regrouped, a new hope filled Alex and his team. They now had a powerful ally in Kellen, but they also knew that Vex's reach extended farther than they had imagined. Their journey was becoming more dangerous, but with Kellen's help, they had a fighting chance to survive. The final confrontation. The dark skies above seemed to rumble with anticipation as Captain Alex Morgan and his team prepared for the final showdown with Commander Vex. They had traveled far, gathering allies, surviving betrayals, and outwitting traps. Now, with Kellen's help, they stood just outside Vex's main fortress, hidden in the shadows of its towering walls. The fate of Princess Lyra, and perhaps peace in the galaxy, depended on what would happen next. "Is everyone ready?" Alex asked, glancing around at his team. Each of them nodded, determination shining in their eyes. Lyra gave him a firm look, resolved to see this mission through. Kellen, their newest ally and former captain under Vex, pointed to a side entrance. "That door leads straight to the control room. If we take it, we can cut off Vex's communication and disable his defense systems." Jax grinned, gripping his blaster. "Let's make him pay." As they slipped through the side entrance, they encountered guards. Kellen moved silently, taking down the first two with precise strikes, while Ryan jammed the cameras, keeping them hidden. Moving swiftly, they reached the control room without raising any alarms. Alex and his team knew this was their last chance to stop Vex before he unleashed chaos across the galaxy. Inside the control room, the walls were covered in screens displaying security feeds, weapons, and maps. At the center of it all stood Commander Vex, tall and imposing in dark armor. His sharp eyes narrowed when he saw Alex and Lyra. "So, you made it this far," Vex sneered, his voice cold and confident. "I underestimated you." "Your rule ends here, Vex," Alex said, stepping forward. "The galaxy deserves peace, not fear and control." Vex laughed, his voice echoing through the room. "Peace? Foolish ideals. Power is the only thing that matters. And now, I will show you just how little you really have." With a flick of his hand, Vex signaled to his guards, who immediately attacked. Blaster fire erupted, and Alex and his team fought back, dodging and firing with skill and precision. Kira, once their traitor but now desperate to redeem herself, fought fiercely by their side, taking down a guard who nearly caught Ryan off guard. As the battle raged, Alex moved closer to Vex, their eyes locking with mutual hatred. Finally, they stood face to face, each ready for the fight that would decide everything. Vex attacked first, swinging a blade with deadly precision. Alex blocked the strike, their weapons clashing in a burst of sparks. They fought back and forth, each move filled with raw power and determination. Alex could feel the weight of every sacrifice his team had made, every friend they had lost, fueling his strength. "You're weak, Morgan," Vex snarled. "You fight for nothing." Alex gritted his teeth. "I fight for everyone you hurt, for a galaxy free of your rule." With a final surge, Alex struck a powerful blow, knocking Vex back. Vex stumbled, losing his balance. Just as he reached for his weapon, Lyra stepped forward, raising her own blaster with a calm, steady aim. "This is for everyone you tried to control," she said, her voice steady and filled with resolve. She fired, and Vex fell to the ground, defeated. Silence fell over the room as the remaining guards lowered their weapons, recognizing that their leader was gone. The battle was over, and Vex's dark reign had ended. Alex turned to his team, feeling both relief and exhaustion. "We did it," he said, his voice filled with pride. Each of them smiled, knowing that their fight had not been in vain. They had not only saved Princess Lyra, but also freed the galaxy from a tyrant's grip. As they left the fortress, the sky was beginning to clear, the first light of dawn breaking over the horizon. The team walked together, stronger than ever, their journey complete, and peace finally within reach. A new dawn. With the first light of dawn casting a soft glow over the land, Captain Alex Morgan and his team walked out of Commander Vex's fortress, weary yet victorious. The air was fresh, free of the weight of fear that had once loomed over this place. For the first time in a long while, there was a feeling of hope. Princess Lyra looked around at the world she now felt she could truly call home. Her royal duties were waiting, but she was no longer a prisoner of war or a pawn in someone else's game. She looked to Alex, gratitude in her eyes. "Thank you, Captain. You and your team saved not only me but countless others. This peace would not be possible without you." Alex gave her a gentle smile, feeling both pride and relief. "It was a team effort," he replied, glancing at each of his crew. Ryan, Kira, Jax, Ilara, Zara, and even their new ally Kellen. They had all risked everything, and each of them carried the marks of the journey they'd taken together. They were family now. In the distance, the townspeople began to emerge from hiding, gathering as they realized that Vex was truly defeated. People cheered and hugged one another, celebrating their freedom. Some approached Alex's team, offering thanks and small tokens of appreciation. It was a humbling moment, and Alex felt his heart swell as he saw the joy on the people's faces. Kira, who had betrayed them but had also fought to redeem herself, stood to the side, watching quietly. She felt a mix of pride and guilt. She was glad for the peace, but she knew she still had much to atone for. Lyra noticed her standing alone and walked over, extending a hand. "Kira, you helped bring us to this moment. Your actions helped us succeed in the end," Lyra said softly. "It's time to move forward." Kira hesitated, surprised by the princess's kindness. She took Lyra's hand, grateful for a second chance. "Thank you," she whispered, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. As the sun rose higher, Alex felt it was time to go. The Starfire was damaged, but with some repairs, it would be ready to take them home. His team needed rest, but he also knew their journey together wasn't over. The galaxy was vast, and there were always people in need of help. Kellen approached him, extending a hand. "Captain, I'm grateful you trusted me. You and your team reminded me of what I once fought for. If you ever need a hand again, I'll be there." Alex shook his hand firmly. "Thank you, Kellen. You're one of us now. We'll always have a place for you on the Starfire." As the team gathered for one final look at the land they'd fought to free, Alex felt a sense of calm and purpose. The galaxy was a brighter place this morning, filled with hope and possibility. Together, they boarded the Starfire, each one silently reflecting on what lay ahead. As they took off, Alex looked back one last time, watching the fortress and the mountains shrink in the distance. A new dawn had risen, not just for them, but for everyone they had fought for. With a final glance at his team, he set his course for the next adventure, knowing that together they could face whatever came next. The future was theirs to shape, and the Starfire soared into the sky, leaving behind the past and embracing the dawn of peace.